So there are basically 4 easiest chapters you have for chemistry, right? And especially the first chapter, chemical reactions and equations, talks about how to balance a reaction, how to study or how to write a balanced complete stoichiometric equations, right? And this lesson has a strong impact on your grade 11 first chapter, right? You'll be studying this in your first lesson, basic chemistry concepts, right? Or mole concepts, right? There is a concept called mole and equivalent concept in your class 11th, the very first chapter, and you will be studying and you will be requiring the basics of this particular chapter, right? The second chapter is all about what? Acids, bases and salts, right? It talks about what are acids, what are bases, what are salts, how do you identify acids, bases, right? And using an indicator, it can be a natural indicator, or it can be a olfactory indicators, right? Or it can be a synthetic indicators, right? These are the indicators which we'll be learning it. And how acids dissociates in water, and how the bases dissolves in water, right? And the acid base chemical reactions, how acid reacts with water, how base reacts with water, and how the acids plus base reacts together to form neutralization reaction, which is what plus what? Salt plus water, right? All those stuffs will be learning it in acid, bases and salts chapter, right? What's our third chapter? Metals and non-metals, right? So we have around 118 elements in our periodic table, correct? எத்தனை elements இருக்கு? Please, 118 elements, right? Most of the elements we could see metals, right? And the metals, and then right hand side of the periodic table என்னவா இருக்கும்? Mostly of non-metals, right? So அப்ப metals or non-metals நோடைய behavior வந்து நம்ம என்ன பண்ணுவோம்? Will be learning in this one, right? So as we were talking about 4 important chapters that we have for chemistry, right? The third chapter is metals and non-metals, right? And then the fourth chapter is all about carbon and its compounds. See, strengthen the fourth chapter is a very important one. If you strengthen the fourth chapter well, right, in your 11th and 12th, entire chemistry volume 2 comprises of only carbon and its compounds, right? This is a base of your 12th standard, right? If you want to carry forward something from your 9th grade, right? 9th grade lerundu edavadhu therinjikkanum ipoyum aasapadringa appadina, learn once again how to crisscross formula. அதெல்லாம் ஒரு வாட்டி ரீகேப் பண்ணி பாருங்க, ரைட்? polyatomic ions, because these things you are going to carry forward in your 11th. Of course 11th-க்கும் 12th-க்கும் ரொம்ப ஹெவி பேசிக்ஸ்லாம் ரெக்வயர்டு கிடையாது, ரைட்? நீங்கள் ரொம்ப பயங்கரமாக உங்களுக்கு பேசிக்ஸ் தெரிஞ்சிருந்தா தான் 11th 12th கேரி ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ணணும்னு இல்லை. 11th ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 3-4 months you will be learning only on understanding how to learn and how to get the concepts. அதனுடைய ரிலேட்டட் பேசிக்ஸாக தான் இருக்கும், right? First 2-3 chapters are of basics that will be given for you, right, in your 11th standard. So but to understand that, you should be a bit clear in these chapters, the 4 chapters which I was talking about. Along with that, like the last crisscross formula method, right? Okay, let's quickly get into the chemical reactions and equations, right? Before going into this chemical reactions, we must be aware from your lower class, right? There are 2 types of changes. One is what? Physical change. The other one is chemical change. Physical change வந்து என்னது? State change நடக்கும், right? It's just only a state change. There is no new substances which is getting formed in this. இதுல எந்த ஒரு புது substanceலாம் form ஆகாது, right? And the change is only temporary. You can get back whenever you require, right? And it is something can be easily reversed because of this. And sometimes heat or light energy may or may not be released or absorbed, right? This is what is all about physical change. What about chemical change? There is a change. There is definitely change in the compositions. கண்டிப்பா மாற போகுது. அப்ப வந்து இந்த change வந்து என்ன மாதிரியான change? Permanent change. Will there be any new substance getting formed? Yes or no? The answer is yes, right? There will be a new substance that is getting formed. Can you be reversing it again to original substances again? No. Once it's changed, that's it. There is a new substance which is getting formed. That is what is all about physical and chemical change differences. And during the chemical reactions, what exactly happens, right? There will be a breaking of the bonds, right, between the reacting substances, and there will be a new bonds that is getting formed. That means in a chemical reactions, the substances reacts, and that is what we call it as a reactants, and that reactant is converted into what? Products, right? That is what is called the chemical reactions. It is generally represented by something in this format: reactants on the left hand side, showing you the directing symbol that it is going to yield the products, and we will be also stuffing over here various information such as temperature, pressure, and sometimes catalyst also, right? So indicating that shows that the informations connecting to that particular chemical reactions, right? In the reactions evlo temperature la nadakano, evlo pressure la nadakano, and what catalyst you are supposed to use, idellame நம்ம என்ன பண்ணலாம், we can able to see in that, right? So இதுதான் வந்து all about the chemical reactions, right? And now let's move into the next chemical reactions. Appo you, as I was saying, A B C D இது வந்து reactant, and it is forming what, AC and then BD, so that is considered to be another products, right? And it obeys law of conservation of mass, right? Mass of the reactant is always equal to another mass of the products, right? Here for your examples, lot of examples which I have brought over here. You can see a fermentation of a grapes, digestion of a food, burning of a coal, right? Cooking food, all, you know, at the end it just changes into a new product. So there will be a formation of a new substances, right? So therefore all these are what, a chemical change, right? So it's an examples for a chemical change. Can you quickly guess which of the following is a chemical change in this? I hope you can definitely answer for this. The hotspot is on for all of you. Boiling of water, enna agum, water boil ana enna agum, vaporization, just only a phase transitions, right? You can able to get back. What about melting of ice? Kandipa phase transitions again, right? Salt in water, you can crystallize it and you can get back again, right? What about combustion of LPG? It is going to be carbon dioxide and water, right? So therefore it is going to be what reactions? Chemical reactions, right? I hope the hotspot is off. Now the answer is D for this, right? So how do you identify, right, when a chemical reaction is happening? Okay, chemical reactions நடந்திருக்கு அப்படினு என்ன மாதிரியான சைன்ஸ்லாம் நமக்கு கிடைக்கும்? These are all the signs, right? Sometimes there will be a change in the color, there will be change in the physical state of the substances, and sometimes there may be a gas evolutions. For example, zinc granules எடுத்துட்டு dilute H2SO4 போட்டா என்ன ஆகும்? Zinc sulfate and hydrogen getting evolved, right? And the gas will be coming up, and sometimes there will be a reactions or heat getting released. It can be exothermic or it can be what, endothermic, right? So depending on it you can identify. So these are all the characteristics of a chemical reactions, right? And there is a change of color of state. Let's quickly check. Here you can see potassium iodide, Ki, is added to the lead nitrate, right? When potassium iodide is added to the lead nitrate, what is the formula for lead nitrate? PbNO3 twice, right? Here itself you are using what you learnt in your 9th grade, right? Lead, the valency is 2 plus, nitrate NO3 minus, right? You are just cross to get the formula PbNO3 twice, right? Lead nitrate is reacting with potassium iodide, it forms lead iodide, which is a yellow kind of precipitate, PbI2, and K and NO3 is going to form what? KNO3, right? So upon lead iodide will be getting formed, and this is getting precipitated, and at the same time which is going to be formed here, KNO3, right? You may have 2K, so 2K will take 2NO3, so 2KNO3 will be going off, Pb takes 2 iodine will be going out as what? PbI2. Yeah, please get it. So therefore yellow precipitate of the lead iodide, it's a one such example where there is a change in the color is happening, right? Moving on to the next one, this is a reactions where you can see there is a evolution of what, a gas, right? Gas evolute agudhu. Enna nadandirukku parunga inga, what are you reacting here? You are reacting what with what here? You are treating zinc with what is granules, by the way, in a small pieces, right? Zinc pieces, right? When you treat it with some acids such as dilute HCl, enna form aayirukku, it forms zinc chloride and then what, hydrogen gas, right? It is evolving a hydrogen gas. Generally how do you infer that the gas, or how do you represent? By giving a upward arrow mark. How do you represent that it is getting precipitated? By showing the downward arrow mark, right? Here in the previous case I've given a representation of a downward arrow mark which indicates that it is getting precipitated, whereas here inga enna pannirkom, upward directions. What that means in a chemical reaction, the gas is getting evolved is the meaning of this, right? Now moving to the next one, change in the temperatures. If you burn a magnesium ribbon, I guess quite familiar, you're all now with this. நிறைய பேர் questions நிறைய டைம் ஸ்கூல்ஸ்ல கூட எழுதிருப்பீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஏன் மெக்னீசியம் ரிப்பனை க்ளீன் பண்ணோம், ஹீட் பண்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி என்ன ஆகும், டாஸ்லிங் ஒயிட் ஃப்ளேம் வருமா, இந்த மாதிரி கொஸ்டின்லாம் நிறைய பேர் எழுதிருப்பீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். There also there will be an increase in the temperature, right? So examples for change in temperatures, right? In short, எப்படி chemical reaction represent பண்ணுவோம்னா ரெண்டு விதமா நம்ம represent பண்ணுவோம். ஒன்னு வந்து word equation, இன்னொன்னு வந்து என்னது symbol யூஸ் பண்ணி பண்றது, right? What is a word equation? Magnesium oxygen அப்படியே எழுதுனீங்க அப்படினா அது என்னது word equations. அதுவே magnesiumக்கான symbol வந்து Mg, oxygenக்கான symbol வந்து என்னது O2, forming என்னது MgO. அப்படி எழுதுனீங்கன்னா அது வந்து என்னது, it is called as chemical equations, right? And the chemical equations must be balanced always, right? How to write the chemical reactions, right? As we were writing, left hand side reactant, right hand side product, they are, whenever there are many reactants, you will be giving by what sign? Plus sign, right? And the balanced chemical equation, what's the meaning of balanced chemical equation? That means atoms present on the left hand side is always equal to atoms present on the right hand side, right? Adudha on the balanced chemical equation. It gives a balanced approach for the chemical reactions, right? And it is definitely supports law of course, right? I'm starting a hotspot for all of you, right? Two options, A and B can be selected. Law of conservation of mass, right? Very good. Law of conservation of mass says mass of the reactants is always equal to another mass of the product, right? This is what is called law of conservation of mass. Always in a chemical reactions, reactant nuடைய massum product nuடைய massum என்னவா இருக்கும், equal-ஆ இருக்கும். For example, இப்ப calcium carbonate, we know that the calcium carbonate formula is what? CaCO3, right? calcium க்கு என்னப்பா mass கேட்டிங்கன்னா 40, carbon க்கு ஒரு 12, and oxygen க்கு என்னது 16 into 3 என்னது 48, adding up and 10 1 8 9 10 100 you will get, right? When you take calcium carbonate, right, in a chemical reaction, right, it decomposes to calcium oxide plus another carbon dioxide, right? What's the mass of calcium? 40 and plus oxygen 16, so 40 plus 16 and evlava irukudhu, or here it is going to be 56 gram, here it is going to be how much gram? 44 gram. Carbon 12 plus another 32, 16 into 2, so 56 plus 44, when you combine you will get again 100, right? When you balance, already the reaction is balanced, you have not added any reagents over here, right? Without adding any reagents you are getting here direct balanced reactions, right? And in case if it is not balanced, you have to balance it, right? So why we are supposed to balance, right? A chemical equation is balanced, and when will you categorize a chemical reaction as a balanced chemical equation? Shall I start? Okay, 2 is done, you can answer. Great, I guess 100% correct answers, fine. So why to balance? To obey law of conservation of mass. And why we need to write all the informations? To make it very much informative, right? Informative chemical equations. As you can see here, we have 400 to 450 degrees Celsius and 200 atmospheric pressure. Idana Fe cat, iron is acting as a catalyst for this reaction. That means this is also called as what process? If you could recollect, which is called as Haber's process, right? Haber's process is a formation of ammonia, right? Nitrogen, hydrogen combines to form what? Ammonia, right? It's something called a Haber process. Now can you check, this is something called a balanced chemical reactions, but it's not completed. You're asked to complete it, right? Can you complete it? How much HCl is required here, right? And always remember, never worry about reactions, right? உங்களுக்கு பிரிக்க தெரிஞ்சதுனா ஈஸியா இருக்கும். 2Na plus carbonate CO3 2 minus, that is where you are applying what you learnt in your 9th standard, right? Sodium carbonate நம்ம இப்படி எழுத முடியும். And then HCl எப்படி எழுதலாம்? Covalent compound தான், but H plus and Cl minus மாதிரி எழுதலாம், right? And இப்போ இந்த ரெண்டு Na ரெண்டு Cl எடுத்துக்கிட்டு என்னவா போகும்? 2NaCl போகும், right? And at that time, let's say I have a 2H, 2 hydrogen will take 2 carbon, right? So அப்போ இந்த H2 CO3 வெளில போயிடும், right? What it goes out as carbonic acid, right? it goes out as carbonic acid. This carbonic acid is further disintegrating or just further dissociating into carbon dioxide and another water. பாருங்க இதுல இருந்து ஒரு CO2 and H2O வந்துரும். நான் சொல்றது புரியுதா? I'll repeat again. Na2 ல இருந்து 2Na and 2HCl ல இருந்து 2Cl. So 2NaCl is out. இங்க H2 இருக்கு, இங்க CO3 இருக்கு. H2CO3. அத தான் நம்ம எப்படி பிரிச்சு எழுதி இருக்கோம்? CO2 and water. Right? That's how we'll be writing this. So answer is going to be what here then? It's going to be 2, right? What's the formula for sodium sulfate, by the way? Na2SO4, right? And what is the aqueous solution of what they are treating it with? Barium chloride is treated with what? Na2SO4, right? Now what you are supposed to do, take this barium, take the sulfate and you attach, form the product as what? Barium sulfate. What I have to do here? What this means? It's a precipitate. Do you know color of the precipitate? It's a white precipitate, right? So very important, barium sulfate is a white precipitate. Do you also know something? Even BaSO3 is also white precipitate. Thrima, how do you distinguish them? Barium sulfite, BaSO3 is also a white precipitate. Both are white precipitate. But how do you further distinguish this is, this white precipitate is based on the solubility. This is going to be insoluble in corn HCl or dilute HCl. Whereas this barium sulfate is a white precipitate and this will be what? Soluble in HCl, right? So this is going to be soluble in HCl. And that is how you will be identifying this. Again it will form barium chloride and it will evolve sulfur dioxide, right? Sulfur dioxide gas varum. How do you test SO2? Do you have any idea? Not the pungent smell, that is for ammonia. Ammonia generally has a pungent smell. Potassium permanganate or bromine water, but better one is to decolorize the potassium permanganate, right? So test for SO2, right? Sulfur dioxide gas, right? Decolorization of KMnO4, right? Decolorization of potassium permanganate, right? KMnO4, right? That's a test for sulfur dioxide, right? So couple of information I have given over here. Barium sulfate, barium sulfite. Idu enadhu? Idu sulfate. Idu enadhu? Sulfite, right? Both are white precipitate. But still, how are you distinguishing it? By the solubility test, right? And this, when it is dissolved in HCl, that will give you sulfur dioxide gas. You can further confirm that sulfur dioxide by passing into what? KMnO4. KMnO4 உடைய color என்ன ஆகும்? Disappear ஆகும், right? அதுதான் வந்து நடக்கும், right? KMnO4 acts as a very good oxidizing agent. It is a very good oxidizing agent, right? It is a very good oxidizing agent, right? So let's move on to the next one. I hope the reaction is bit clear to all of you, right? This is how the chemical reaction occurs, right? And I hope this you can able to answer it. What is a balanced chemical equation? Why it must be balanced, right? You should say that it should have an equal number of atoms on both the sides, and that is why I have to balance it. And at the same time enadhu obey pannirukano, law of conservation of mass to be obeyed. See, it's not about writing a big paragraph for a question if it is asked for. All you need to know is correct ah enna ketirukanga, enna answer எழுதுனா நமக்கு மார்க் கிடைக்கும். And the key term is very important. Other than that, if you start bluffing, whatever you know or whatever you studied connecting to that particular topic will not results in a good marks, right? Always ensure you know the right key term, and that's our next objective, right? In our next chemistry sessions we will be talking about another 3 marks, 2 marks case based study questions, where we will be focusing majorly on what? The key terms that we are supposed to write for a questions, right? This is a one shot revisions. Thus I wanted to quickly run through or rush through how or what we have studied, right? Yeah, so we are now moving into what topic? Acids, bases, salts, right? But before that I would like to have a quick idea on all the types of reactions. Enna types of reactions படிச்சீங்க? Combination reaction, கேட்கல. Let me write quickly as soon as you tell me. First one, combination reaction. Decomposition, right? Decomposition reaction, then displacement reaction, but you have further classified into single displacement and then another double displacement. Then what else? Redox reactions, right? You will study, there is a chapter called redox reaction itself. If you could see your grade 11 volume 2 chemistry, you have a complete chapter that talks about only redox reactions, right? And displacement, decomposition, combinations, you will be most commonly studying these reactions. And what I will suggest is, you all are good at writing. If someone is asking you, or let's say the CBSE is asking you, right, in a form of a definitions or in a form of a different statement, right, ஒரு reaction கொடுத்துட்டு இது என்ன மாதிரியான reaction, இது வந்து எந்த டைப்ல வரும் அதை பத்தி சொல்லுங்க அப்படி கேட்கலாம். இல்லைன்னா டைரக்ட்லா ஸ்ட்ரைட் pretty forward they can ask what is combination reactions, give state two examples அப்படி கேட்கலாம். அப்படி கேட்கும்போது you all will write the statement in a very comfortable way. ஏதாவது ஒன்று போட்டு phrasing பண்ணிடுவீங்க. But when it comes to the example, and that is where everyone has to take care of, right? So please practice one chemical reactions as a solid concrete examples for this, right? Combination na at least ஒரு reaction ஆவது sure தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணும் with a proper informations, right, with a balanced. And then இப்போ decomposition na கண்டிப்பா ஒரு reaction ஆவது தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணும். ஏதாவது ஒரு reaction டக்குன்னு மைண்டுக்கு வருதா? Able to get anything in your minds now? Combination C plus O2 giving rise to CO2 வருதா? ஓகே, அடுத்து அமோனியா சொல்ல முடியாதா? ஹேபர் ப்ராசஸ், அது காம்பினேஷனில் வராதா? ஹேபர் ப்ராசஸ். N2 plus H2 giving rise to NH3, அது வராதா? ஓகே, பொட்டாசியம் குளோரேட் KClO3, அது டீகம்போஸ் ஆனால் என்ன ஆகும்? KCl and oxygen, right? Okay, that is something called, மொத்தம் ரெண்டு விதமான டீகம்போசிஷன் படிச்சிருப்பீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். thermal decomposition மூணு படிச்சீங்களா? thermal, photolytic, electrolyticum படிச்சிட்டீங்களா? good. So there are three types of decomposition. Then in that case, then you will be learning, right? One is thermal decomposition. With the help of heat you are breaking something, right? With the help of current, electrolytic na என்ன பார்த்தோம்? breaking. Electrolytic na என்ன அர்த்தம்? With the help of current you are breaking. What is photolytic? With the help of sunlight. I guess that's where you start reading photosynthesis reactions, right? So please ensure you're all learning it. Carbon dioxide and water combines to form another glucose, C6H12O6, right? Fine. And then let's move into the acids, bases and salts topic. And so acids எல்லாமே sour to taste and it is soluble in water. Acids எல்லாமே என்ன பண்ணும்? Conducts current, right? Conducts electricity. It is corrosive in nature. It can be stored in what? Glass or plastic container, right? These are all the characteristics or properties of the acids. Can you quickly check the properties of the bases? I'll just give a halt. First point. How many of you are able to get slippery to touch? Yes, that soaps are base, right, generally. And next, bitter to taste. It also conducts, yes, of course, conducts electricity. Few bases are water soluble. We call it as alkalis, right? Can we say all bases are alkalis? No, right? But all alkalis are called as base, right? ஏன்னா பேஸ் தான் வாட்டரில் டிசால்வ் ஆகுது. ஸோ ரிவர்ஸ் இஸ் ட்ரூ. எல்லா ஆல்கலியும் பேஸ், ஆனால் எல்லா பேஸும் என்னவா இருக்கணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை, வாட்டரில் டிசால்வ் ஆகணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை, ரைட்? So these are all the key points that you are supposed to know. And as I was talking about, we have various indicators. One is natural indicators, the other one is synthetic indicators. என்னென்னலாம் natural indicators? Beetroot juice, carrot juice, வேற என்ன படிச்சீங்க? Tomato, okay? And then olfactory யாருக்கு யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம்? Onion, clove, very good. Ginger கூடமா? Okay, fine. Synthetic indicators சொன்னா என்னென்னலாம் ஞாபகம் வருது? Phenolphthalein, methyl orange. Phenolphthalein color என்னப்பா? கலர்லெஸ்ஸாக இருக்காதா? எப்போ கலர்லெஸ், எப்போ பிங்க்? ஆசிட்ல கலர்லெஸ், பேஸ்ல வந்து என்னவா இருக்கும்? பிங்க் இன் கலர், ரைட்? கலர்ஸ் ஆர் ஆல் டு பி ரிமெம்பர்ட். அண்ட் இதுதான் அந்த லிட்மஸ் சொல்யூஷன். டர்மரிக் யாருமே சைனா ரோஸ்லாம் சொல்லவே இல்லை, மறந்துட்டீங்களா? நீ சொன்னியடா, வெரி குட்ரா. Okay, so all these colors can be remembered and these indicators are obtained from the natural sources. அதனால நம்ம இதை என்னன்னு சொல்றோம்? We call it as natural indicators, right? And next, synthetic indicators, whatever you said is right. Phenolphthalein and another methyl orange, right? Color is very important. Colorless in acid and pink in base. And methyl orange, MO, methyl orange அப்படினா remember this way. Methyl orange RY, right? Red yellow. OR mari ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க, or mori mari, that's fine, whichever way you wish, right? Red and yellow, right? Now this is something called what indicators? Olfactory indicators, right? Onion juice, vanilla essence, clove oil, right? All will have no smell in acid, whereas in base the smell gets vanishes, right? So acids generally undergoes ionization. அப்படினா என்ன அர்த்தம்? It dissociates, right? It just dissociates into water and it forms hydronium ion, right? H3O plus plus Cl minus, right? Are you able to get this? And do you remember I was talking about this? You will be learning in your class 11th. Hydronium ion will further combined with water. It will be existing in what format? H5O2 plus, and it can also combine with further molecules and it will existing in H7O3 plus, and you can even add some more water molecules to it, right? No, it's just hydrated, it's just solvated, there is no name for it. Hydronium ions, all these are just H plus is surrounded by a lot of water molecules, that's it, right? Even it can combine with H2O further, it can form H9O4 plus is what you are supposed to get here, right? So the hydronium ion will be existing in various formats, fine, right? So this is how you will be getting this one, right? Similarly, what is also going to happen? Ionization of bases, right? You have sodium hydroxide, it is getting dissociated into Na plus and what? OH minus. Similarly, the OH minus also can undergo what? A combination with water, right? Can you think what can be if this is combined? Add பண்ணி சொல்லுங்க. H3O2 minus, right? Further, if you add water, what are you going to get? H5O3 and then negative charge, right? So this is how you will be getting this, right? H7O4 and then another minus, right? So this is how you will be getting the OH minus, right? And this, the dissociation is represented like this. It is called as what ion? Hydroxide ion or another hydroxyl ion, right? It is OH minus is called as hydroxide or hydroxyl ion. So are you all clear how this is getting formed? Now as I was talking about என்னது மறந்து போயிடுறீங்க, எப்படி ரீட்ரை பண்ணுவீங்க? இந்த all alkalis are bases அல்ல, but all bases are not alkalis, இதெல்லாம் மறந்து போயிடுது. If you want to retrieve, எப்படி ரீட்ரை பண்ணுவீங்க? You are getting confused. ஒரே ஒரு கான்செப்ட் தான், எல்லா பேஸும் வாட்டர்ல என்ன ஆகாது? டிசால்வ் ஆகாது. டிசால்வ் ஆகிறத மட்டும் தான் நம்ம என்னன்னு சொல்றோம்? ஆல்கலீஸ்ன்னு சொல்றோம். அதனால all alkalis are என்னது? bases, but all bases are not alkalis. அப்படிதான் நீங்க ஈஸியா ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கலாம், right? Fine. So dilution of acids and bases, right? Acid dilute பண்ணா என்ன ஆகும்? Concentration என்ன ஆக ஆரம்பிக்கும்? It starts to get reduced, right? And the process க்கு பேர் தான் என்னது? Dilution. So the process is called dilution and the acid or base is said to be what? Diluted, right? So adding water into a concentrated acid or a concentrated base will result in the decrease in concentrations, right? And that process is what is called as dilution, right, of acids and bases. Now we can see the solutions, since acids and bases conducts current, right? There will be a glowing of a bulb, and that's how you can infer that the substance contains what? Acids or bases. This is one of the way where you can identify immediately. And remember, all acids, bases and salts are electrolytes. If you could recollect, I'll write it over here. So what are electrolytes, by the way? All acids, bases, salts. All acids, bases and salts are another electrolytes. What are electrolytes? Any substance that dissociates into ions are categorized as electrolytes, right? நம்ம சொல்றோம் electrolyte water, we need to have an electrolyte energized water, right? So what are electrolytes? Any substance which dissociates into ions. Any substance that dissociates into ions, right? There are two types of electrolyte, if you could recollect, and one is what electrolyte? Strong electrolyte, the other one is weak electrolyte, right? Strong electrolytes and the other one is weak electrolytes. Strong electrolyte na enna arthana, neenga eduthukiradhu ellame dissociate ஆயிரும். ஆனா weak electrolyte na என்ன ஆகாது, நீங்க எடுக்கிறது எல்லாமே dissociate ஆகாது, feebly or partially தான் என்ன ஆகும், dissociate ஆகும். Most of the weak acid, weak base la enadhu, weak electrolyte. Most of the strong acid, strong base and all salts are strong electrolytes. Salts of any type, salts of any type, right? When I say salts of any type, and the salt எப்படி வேணாலும் ஃபார்ம் ஆயிருக்கலாம். ஒரு weak acid strong base இல்ல ஒரு strong acid strong base, right? It can be any combo, right? அதுதான் வந்து அதனுடைய understanding, right? Don't worry about this. You will be learning this in your chapter called ionic equilibrium. There is a chapter called equilibrium in your class 11th. அதுல நீங்க அத பத்தி இன்னும் டீடைல்டா படிப்பீங்க. அந்த சாப்டர் அதுக்கான சாப்டர் தான், right? You will be learning what is an electrolyte and what's a strong and weak electrolyte, and you will understand a definition of acids, bases, Lewis concepts, Arrhenius concepts, Bronsted acid base concept, இதெல்லாம் படிப்பீங்க. And you will also learn how to calculate the pH of a particular solution, right? pH scale பத்தி படிப்பீங்க. You'll be lot more you'll be learning in your class 11th in that particular chapter, right? Now I want every one of you to note down these key points, very very important key points. These are all acids வந்து metal கூட எப்படி react ஆகும், right? metal கூட acid react ஆச்சுன்னா என்னப்பா ஃபார்ம் ஆகும், ஒரு metal salt and then என்ன liberate ஆகும், hydrogen gas, right? இப்போ HClங்கிறது ஒரு acid, அந்த acid கூட ஒரு metal react ஆகுது. அப்ப zinc chlorideங்கிற salt plus hydrogen gas வந்து என்ன இருக்கு, getting evolved, right? That is the key term that you are supposed to remember here. In our next session, most probably we will be going with the third chapter plus 3 mark questions, and in the 5 mark questions we will be going with carbon and its compounds plus what, 5 mark questions, and then case based studies together, and then we will finalize all chemistry together, right? But from there how far you prepare at the back end is what is going to give you the confidence, right? It doesn't mean that just by attempting the sessions you can start scoring well. No, right? That's not the case. You have to start reading at the back end, right? Start investing quality time with your books, high time for you to learn the reactions, right? Reactions la எழுதி பாருங்க and just try to remember. Fine. Next we'll go for base with the metal. Number what we have seen first, acid reacts with another metals. Now we are seeing what reacts with base, right? Base reacts with metals, right? When the base reacts with metal, it forms metal salt and another hydrogen gas, right? Fine. What is a base when reacts with metals? Enago, when base reacts with the metal, it forms metal salt and another hydrogen gas, right? And even acid also forming the same thing, right? And what is the name of this? Sodium zingate, right? They'll be asking you very often this, right? So start learning this. And next we are understanding how an acid is reacting with what carbonates. So we have understood acids with salt, base with salt. Now we are understanding how acids is reacting with metal carbonates, right? As well as metal bicarbonate or hydrogen carbonate. Metal carbonate is MCO3, metal hydrogen carbonate is MHCO3, right? So it just results in the formation of what? Carbon dioxide and water, right?